Alright everybody, welcome to this training. I guess we're going to call it training. A beginner's guide to how to edit videos for YouTube and or TikTok, or pretty much just edit videos, and we're going to be using Davinci Resolve. Now, yeah, that's kind of the intro. And now this is going to be posted up on YouTube, so everybody in chat can say hello to YouTube, although I don't have chat up on the screen. So yeah, say hello to YouTube chat, and chat, you're just going to have to pretend that they're there. Anyway, so how to edit videos with Davinci Resolve. So the reason why I wanted to do this is I've had a lot of content creators that I speak to when I'm at live events and stuff like that, and just, you know, in passing and stuff. And a lot of content creators say, oh, I really want to get into YouTube or get into editing, and I just don't know the best way to get about that. I don't know how to get started. I don't know the best process. I don't know what the tools to use. I don't know any, like, how to get into it. So considering I do a bit of Twitch and I've primarily on YouTube and I do a lot of editing, I thought I'd help bridge that gap in knowledge with the very little knowledge that I have. But you don't need that much knowledge to make good YouTube videos. Obviously, the more knowledge you have, the more chance you have at making good YouTube videos. But sometimes some of the most successful YouTubers out there do like 1 or 2 cuts throughout their video, and that's it. It's all about the content. But at the very least, let's start with the very basics to get you up off the ground and get you going. So, who am I? I am the Jury94, aka just the Jury, or some people may know me as Cameron. That's my real name, but Jury is kind of just what I go by. I've been a content creator. I've been trying to make content since I was like 16. So my first ever YouTube video I posted back in, I don't even know the year, it was 14 years ago. Should be able to do that maths. 2010. It's 2024. Anyway, so yeah, I posted my first video in 2010, 14 years ago. So I've been on YouTube for a very long time. I've been throwing myself at it a lot. And I've only really started seeing a lot of success in the last couple of years, especially once I started using Davinci Resolve. And that was kind of the main opener for me to get into YouTube, and that was like the doorway into making better content, because it was just a lot more accessible, and we'll touch on that a little bit. So why listen to me? Well, like I said, I've been doing it for a while. I've watched a lot of videos. I consume a lot of content on how to make good YouTube videos and how to be successful on YouTube. I educate myself quite thoroughly. I'm a graphics designer, kinda. I work in marketing. I'm a marketing coordinator. I'm studying marketing. So I know a lot of the background side of like how people think to make good videos, and how the marketing side of YouTube and all that kind of work. And I've got a few good videos up on my channel which have done pretty well. So we got a bit of evidence there. So let's, before we go much further, I'm going to show you guys my first video that I ever posted up on YouTube, just to help you guys with a bit of confidence posting videos up, because it can be pretty daunting posting things up, and I feel like by exposing myself like this, it'll hopefully make you guys feel a little bit more comfortable putting yourself out there. So, I hate this already. So, my first YouTube video, are you guys familiar with the Melbourne Shuffle? Because if you are, then you'd probably be familiar with this. It was very big back in 2010. It was a dance thing. I was really into it. I even bought the fat pants to shuffle with, and so, you know, I'm not going to explain it to you guys anymore. Here it is. Oh, I can't play the sound because it'll get copyright stung, but you know, it's hardstyle music, and so, you know, I was very happy. Oh god. So that's me. I was, God. Yeah, the hair, man. I had the full-on the emo fringe going on. I was, God. So I would have been, 14 years ago, how am I now? 30. I was 16, yeah. What was I thinking? So, the crazy things about this, and I think this was actually technically my second video, but my first video was even worse, and I just didn't want to go there. And so, like, in this video, I was dancing to the music in real life, but I had to dub the soundtrack over the top of it. So I was pretty happy with myself to be able to do that. Oh man, it was so big. It was massive, and like, you know, I was actually quite a noob at this point because I was using socks on a tiled floor. So that's a noob thing to do. When you're shuffling these days, you don't need to use that. You're meant to not use it. Yeah, there's a good chance of it, Slappy. So yes, that's my first YouTube video that I've ever posted, and so, you know, got that off my chest. I hope you guys feel more comfortable posting what you guys want to post up, because there's a good chance it's probably going to be better than that. But you know, we got there, and so you've just got to get into it. You just got to post something up and see how it goes, and put yourself out there. So yeah, that's where I started from. Throughout my journey, I did that. I started another YouTube channel in 2012 with a few of my friends. I was heavily inspired by PewDiePie. I wanted to be big YouTuber, and I didn't continue it because I had really bad internet, and making videos and uploading videos was impossible. Like, it wasn't impossible, but it just took me like 3 days to upload a 10-minute video. Obviously, just not capable of doing that. So it wasn't until COVID came where I started streaming, started getting into content creation, and look, here we are. So yeah, now we're making videos. My channel's now hit just over 600,000 views, so it's doing pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I want to share some of that. Rural internet life, that's right, Central Queensland. And so I want to share some of that knowledge with you guys. So, let's go back to my slides so you guys can actually see what we're looking at. So, you want to make YouTube videos, huh? Why? Now, this is a very important question when it comes to making YouTube videos, and pretty much making any kind of content. And you've got to start with why, and ask yourself, why are you making this video? Because editing videos takes a long time, or it can take a long time. And so you've got to really think about why you're going to be spending all this time in this video. Are you going to be getting, what are you going to be getting out of it? Why am I committing all this time to it? Am I going to post it on YouTube, and is it going to do well? Am I going to learn something from editing this video? Is it going to help me progress my career? There's all these questions that you're going to ask yourself with why you're doing it. And that way you're not wasting your time doing it. Try to get something out of everything that you edit. One of my favorites people, influencers, marketers, people I follow, his name's Simon Sinek, and he wrote a book called Start With Why. And that book is all about essentially being a better leader, but it's all about, you know, if you have a good enough why, it can help you stay inspired and help people like understand what you're trying to do it for, and people will be more willing to follow you if you have a very strong why, and your content's probably going to be more likely to be successful. So that's why it's a good idea to have a very good why. And so, for example, to create a dashboard, the reason why I think it's doing so well, and the reason why I love doing it, is because it really lines up with my why, which is helping people. So I really enjoy helping people, and the Create a Dashboard is a good way of me doing that. So it lines up with my why quite strongly. Alright, so there's a few questions you need to ask yourself when you're making a video to make sure that you have a good video, or not so much a good video, but to help you make better content overall. You got to ask yourself these questions to help you come up with good video content, so that you're not wasting your time with your videos, and you can keep progressing forward and keep making good content. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, why would someone watch this video? So it's a very important question, because it will help you kind of direct where the video is going to go. Help you kind of really like position the video, and help you make sure you're not wasting your time with it, because it can be very easily done. I see a lot of content creators, you know, they'll make a video, they'll put a lot of effort into a video, and they haven't really thought about why someone's going to watch it. And it's very hard to see people do that, and they keep putting out these videos without really thinking about what the audience is going to get on the back end of it. So when you think about the internet, for example, the internet is a tool, or it's something where people go to get answers or get solutions for things. They're going to go to the internet and they want to get, you know, they're trying to learn how to tie a tie, or how to make a certain thing, or how to cook something, or, you know, they want to learn how to edit videos. People go to the internet with purpose. or they want to get entertained. You know, they're feeling a bit down, or you know, they feel like they just want to laugh. They go to the internet for these things. So you as a content creator are there to fill that gap. So the internet is one thing, but it needs content for these people that are coming to it. So you got to create good content to fill that gap that people are looking for. And the better that you can fill that gap, the better the content is going to be, and the more people are going to like that, and the more following you're going to have. And then as a content creator, you do that more, you continue that on, and then you get paid. So these next questions are all about how to help fill that gap. So first thing, why would somebody watch this video? And the next thing is, who is this video for? And this is sometimes comes down to niching down. People often sometimes call this niching down. But basically, you're just defining your audience. So for example, if you like making stuff about Minecraft, obviously your audience is people who like playing Minecraft. So you've already kind of got your who. So like video game industry, it's quite easy because you can define who the audience is for, but then you can probably like define it down even more. So for example, if you're, using Minecraft as a good example, you might want to specifically talk about, you know, how to do a certain build, or how to make it to a certain area, or how to do something specific. And those are the people that you're targeting with those videos. What platform will you be posting this on? Now this is a very important question when it comes to editing the videos, because it will really determine the format on how the video is going to be made. Whether it's horizontal or vertical, if it's going to be longer or shorter, and the type of video you're going to be doing, if it's going to be a vlogging style, or if it's going to be like a let's play, or if it's going to be like a live stream. It's still, you know, similar to what we're doing here. So all those things you got to be considering when you're making a video, because it will make an important video. Now I know this is not exactly how to edit videos, but I feel like this is important stuff you need to get into, because I want to make sure that you have the best chance you have at making successful content. And the last thing, which kind of ties it all up into a bow, is how does your video help someone? So the most important thing you need to do as a content creator is help people, regardless of what it is. How is your video going to help someone? Like was my examples before with Minecraft, is your video going to help someone accomplish something? Is your video going to help someone put a smile on their face or entertain them? Is your video going to educate them on something? Is your video going to inspire them to do something? These are all things that you got to think about when you're creating videos, and then think about how you're going to make that video to best suit that audience, or best suit these platforms, and best suit your why and your how. So that's a little bit of a, I guess, top level look at the video editing side of it, and really have a think about these things, because the more you nail this stuff, the better chance your video is going to do really well on any platform. So. And the reason why I'm really harping on about this, and I think I've already mentioned this, but the better you do this, the easier your editing is going to be, and the less editing you need to do for the video to be successful. So it's all like, it all kind of works in well together. So next up, so what is Davinci Resolve and why should I care? Well, Davinci Resolve is a completely free and professional video editor. It has a paywall, but the paywall doesn't restrict you. I've been using Davinci Resolve for 3 years, both professionally and in my personal hobby, and it has not affected anything that I do. There are a few things that you can't get access to, like audio transcribing, and sometimes with high complex edits, it does struggle a bit because it uses the processor instead of the graphics card to process things. But unless you're doing like big industry stuff, I don't think you're going to run into too many issues. It's arguably more powerful than Adobe, and Adobe is obviously, it's the #1 editing software in the world, and everyone uses it, and everyone's been conditioned to using it because they've all been taught it at university. But there's no reason why you should be using Adobe when there's a program like Davinci Resolve that's completely free. Adobe's like, what, $400 a year? Poof, that's a huge, huge barrier for a lot of people to get into video editing. Give Davinci Resolve a go. And I'm not affiliated with Davinci Resolve, it's just, I'm passionate about it because it's helped me to get to where I am. And lastly, when it comes to Davinci Resolve, it has autosave. Now, from what I've been told, Adobe doesn't have autosave, which is like a massive issue, because if you're doing big edits and you're handling big amounts of footage, there's a good chance that the footage will, there's a good chance if you're doing a lot of stuff, your computer could crash or the program could crash while you're handling all that, and if you're not saving all the time, it can cause a lot of problems. Autosave has saved me so many times. So like I said, Davinci Resolve is a professional video editor. It's used by movie studios across the world, so you're not going to be missing out on anything. It's extremely popular. It's worldwide. It's massive. And the reason why it's free, fun fact, is Davinci Resolve basically make all their money from their cameras. So they make cameras, Blackmagic cameras, which are basically film studio cameras, every kind of camera. That's where they make their money. Davinci Resolve is kind of like their free platform to get people into the creating space. Alright, so some recommended things you should get for when you start editing videos, or to start editing videos. The first thing you should get is a very big solid-state hard drive. And the reason why is that when you're editing videos, you're going to be playing them back at like sometimes 2, 3, or 2, 4, 16 times speed. You're going to be scrubbing through them, and you're going to need to be able to download or like read that content from a hard drive at extremely fast speeds. It needs to be really big because especially if you're doing 4K content or if you're going to do gaming content, you're going to have a lot of content to work through. And the solid state just makes it fast, so it plays back really fast, and it just streamlines your whole process and gives you a very easy experience. Next up is a PC that can run Davinci Resolve. Now, if you don't have a PC that can run Davinci Resolve, you're going to have a hard time editing videos. Davinci Resolve does use a lot of processing power, so it's one thing to keep in mind. However, if you have a gaming rig, you're playing a lot of the new games lately, you're probably not going to have any problems with that. Lastly, third here is a Stream Deck. Now, this one is optional, but I find having a Stream Deck has saved me a lot of time. Shortcuts are extremely important when it comes to Davinci Resolve or editing. And what I do is I assign all my shortcuts to my Stream Deck, and that's basically, I use my shortcuts through my Stream Deck, and I use that instead of my keyboard. It just makes things a lot smoother. So keep that in mind. I'm not affiliated with Elgato yet. I'm working on it. But definitely consider getting a Stream Deck if any level of content creating. It's really handy. But for editing videos, that's where I use it the absolute most. And lastly, have the patience and willingness to learn. Editing is takes a long time, and it takes a long time to learn. It takes a long time to get good at. I mean, like I said, it's the simplest of edits can get you a very successful video, but it takes a long time to get your head around it, and so you've just got to be patient with it. And getting through big edits, it's going to take you a long time. So you just got to be patient with it. And if there's something you're stuck on or you can't figure out, just jump on Google and Google how to do it. There is so much that you can learn on YouTube. So if you just jump into YouTube and you look up how to do it, you're going to it's going to show you everything that you want to learn there. So that's a bit of the introduction to how to edit videos. I know there was a lot there, and that's pretty much like, I think it was 15 minutes of this video so far, but that stuff is quite fundamental, and you're going to want to really nail those things to really get a good YouTube video. So let's get into the main event. The why stuff was intimidating, but I'm otherwise following along. Yeah, I know the why stuff is intimidating. It's actually the hardest thing about YouTube and editing, but I mean, it's just something to think about. And I know not everyone wants to talk about it, but I feel like it will help a lot. It can make or break your YouTube videos, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, so, okay, maybe I probably should have mentioned this about the solid-state hard drives. So, I was editing on a mechanical hard drive for a long time. It wasn't until about a year ago I got the solid-state hard drive. You can get away with a mechanical hard drive. It's just you'll find when you're scrubbing through footage, or if you're trying to play footage at very fast speeds, it will slow down. You probably won't notice it until you get a solid state, but it just won't be running that fast. It wasn't until I got a solid state and started editing on that everything's so fast. You can edit things so much faster because you can play back things so much faster. Like if you're thinking about it, if you're editing an hour-long video and you're trying to play it back and find the bits that you want to save, you're basically halving the amount of time if you're playing it back at 2 times speed, and you're quartering the amount of time if you're playing it back at 4 times speed. So it just makes that process so much easier. So just keep that in mind, and you don't have to go too big. Like I've got an 8 terabyte. I went all out, but you can just get like a 4 terabyte. Just start off with something small until you get the hang of it. But it's just something that you're gonna want to think about in the future. Alright, let's dive into Davinci Resolve and actually get into the fun stuff. I know I've been boring you guys with the practical or the theory. So let's go back into here. Alright, so Davinci Resolve. It's pretty straightforward. So when you open Davinci Resolve, this is what you're going to be met with, which is basically your library of videos that you've been working on. As you can see here, I've got a lot of videos that I've been working on. We can see stuff here for the creator dashboard, other videos from my personal stuff, all that kind of stuff. It's all there. And what you're going to want to do is hit Untitled Project, which is going to create a brand new video. And we're going to be met with Davinci Resolve. Now this is the part where everyone goes, oh, it's so complicated. But it's not. I mean, it looks like it. It is actually a little bit complicated. I'm not going to lie to you. But let's break it down into bite-sized pieces so we can get our head around it a little bit. All right. So I'm going to break it down into 5 parts. Sorry. It's getting more complicated the more I talk about it. So along the very top, we've got obviously the bar. Every program in Windows has this bar. That's obviously where you're going to be able to find all your processes and stuff like that. I can't actually know what they're called, but you know that's where you're going to be able to find stuff if you can't really find it in the main area. But we're not going to dive too much into that. So Davinci Resolve, the main window, can be divided into 4 parts. You've got the left side, middle, right side, and toolbar. And I think these can be moved around. No, they can't. Okay. So yeah, toolbar, not toolbar. Oh, left side, preview in the middle, right side, and your timeline down the bottom. So pretty much most of Davinci Resolve looks like this. And in most cases, the same aspects or the same things are in each location of Davinci Resolve. So nothing too crazy to think about there. But you just remember each section has its own place in where it's going to live. And you can also close off these sections so you can open up the amount of space that you've got to work with, but we'll get there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up a video and we're going to load in a video to Davinci Resolve so we have something to look at, and then I'm going to go through how Davinci Resolve works. So the first thing that we're going to do, if we're going to put a video into Davinci Resolve, so that's obviously what we're going to do, we're going to edit a video, is we're going to go down to the bottom right here, which on this toolbar, which is called the media pool. And this is basically where you drag videos or files from your computer, which is this spot over here on the left-hand side, and drag them into your media pool. So here on the left-hand side is your media storage. This is where all the stuff is going to be located on your computer. And you can browse through this stuff and you can bring it all in from here. So I'm going to go and find a video that I recorded last night. So we're actually going to be editing a video that I recorded specifically for this that I probably am going to post on YouTube. As you can see, I got a haircut since last night. Alright, so what you do is you find your video in here and then you drag it from there into your media pool. Anything that's in your media pool is going to be what is going to be you're going to be able to have access through to in Davinci Resolve. Now the way Davinci Resolve works and the way every video editor works is it basically is a wireframe for the edit. So you're telling Davinci Resolve what you want done with the footage, and it basically takes that footage from your computer and then manipulates it and then spits it out on the other end. So the footage still has a physical location on your computer. So say for example, if I relocate this file on my computer, Davinci Resolve will lose it and it'll wonder where that file has gone. So you'll have to then relocate it. So what we're going to be editing today, or doing partial edit of, is I did a short review of Star Wars Outlaws. So I'm going to drag my gameplay footage here from Star Wars Outlaws in. I'm going to find the other clips, put them in here as well. And there, and there. Alright, we're not going to edit all of this because that will take a very long time. But that's basically how you'll drag all your stuff into your media pool. Now you can open up your folder or your computer and drag it directly from the folder into the media pool as well. That also works. Now that we've got some stuff uploaded there, I think it might be best that we now go through a bit more of the personas of Davinci Resolve. So this kind of goes through a bit of the workflow of how you kind of work through Davinci Resolve. So now that we've got our kind of files in there, you're going to be able to see it a little bit more. Alright, so Davinci Resolve can be broken up into these personas down the bottom. I think they're called personas, but they're basically, think of them as part of the workflow of Davinci Resolve. On the left hand side here we've got media, and on the right hand side we've got, and as we go through, we've got the export, or I can't remember what it's called specifically, deliver. And so basically when you work through the videos, you're basically going to be working left to right. So as we go through, we've got media, and we go to cut, we're going to go to edit, and then fusion, color, fairlight, and deliver. Now sometimes you'll use a few of them, sometimes you won't use any, like you'll only use one or two, but basically that's kind of going to be how you work, how you flow through this this process and how they work down the bottom. But generally you'll always start on media pool. I'll give you a quick overview of each one. Cut. So basically cut is basically broad level cutting videos up and stitching them together. It's a little bit tricky, not everyone uses cut, and it's a little bit different to a normal editing, but I'll show you how I use it in a little bit of time. But it's got a very similar layout to pretty much everything else. You've got your media pool on the left hand side, you've got your preview screen in the middle, so this is where you can preview your clips. On the right hand side you've got your inspector tools. So inspector is basically allows you to manipulate the footage, and then you've got your timeline down the bottom. So if we drag that down into the timeline, it's probably going to freak out. And as you can see, we've got our footage in the timeline. As we move on to edits, this is where you're going to spend pretty much 80% of your time in Davinci Resolve. This is where you cut and you do all your manipulation to your footage in the edit section. You can see here on the timeline we've got our tracks, we've got our audio tracks, we've got the video track, and as we add more stuff in here, you'll get more layers on top. So if we pop that there, we've got different tracks going on. So that's basically the edit section, and this is where we can do, like, your cuts, we can remove stuff, all that kind of stuff, and we'll dive into this in a little bit more detail. Fusion. Now, I'm not going to touch Fusion for this session because Fusion is extremely complicated. There's a lot to learn. So unlike Premiere Pro, Fusion is node-based, not layered-based. And that's where the difference is. So Fusion allows you to do animations, allows you to do very complicated layering and stuff like that. It's quite a beast. It's a lot to learn in Fusion, and I'm still figuring it all out, but it is where I've done a lot of animating stuff. If you've seen the animated logo for the creator dashboard, I made it in Fusion. So it's there's a lot to learn there. If you can get your head around node-based, it's quite good. Next up is color. So Davinci Resolve's color is one of the most powerful coloring tools in video software in the world. It is what Davinci Resolve is renowned for. The color spectrums that you can do with it is extremely good. There's also so many other things you can do in here. I've barely touched it, to be honest, so we're not going to really go through it because you probably don't need to color grade your videos that much for YouTube, but it is something that is there to play around with. And then Fairlight. So usually Fairlight will be pretty much the last thing I'll touch, and that's basically where you start correcting your audio, making sure things aren't too loud, and going through all that. You can ADR if you wanted to, you can add in effects, all that kind of stuff in your Fairlight. And then lastly, you go on to export or deliver, and this is where you basically convert your video into a video. You export it into MP4 or whatever format you're trying to export it at, and that's where the magic happens. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Hopefully, we're going to go through the process now and go through my editing process now. And I try to keep it very simple. I don't like to overcomplicate my edits. I like to keep things quite simple. And hopefully that saves a bit of time and saves a bit of confusion. But obviously, you just experiment and play around with stuff. There's a lot that you can do. Now, the first thing you want to do when you start editing videos, when you import videos into your media pool, the first thing you're going to want to do is create proxies of all of your video content. Now, what a proxy is basically Davinci Resolve creates a secondary version of the video, of the original video, and it compresses it down to half the size and half the resolution, or a quarter of the resolution, I think it's half, of the original, basically the save space and also the save processing power. So when you're editing the video, it doesn't take up as much processing power to do stuff with. You can scrub through it quicker, you can cut it quicker, and it takes a lot less time to load into your computer. Overall, making the process a lot quicker. It's also a reason why you should have a big hard drive, because you're going to be making copies of your original videos. Now you can, if you wanted to, right click on a video and then you can click on generate proxy meter. So in the media tab, you can right click on a video in your media pool and then generate proxy media. When you do that, it will do it in the Davinci Resolve software. You can highlight all of them and you can do it like that, generate proxy media. However, one thing that I like to use is called Proxy Generator, which is a tool by Davinci Resolve, and it basically just integrates with Davinci Resolve. Alright, so we're going to add videos into a proxy generator here, go into, where did I put it? Outlaws, grab that folder, select folder, and then we're going to make sure it creates proxies at half res, and then we're going to hit start. And basically what that's going to do is automatically create proxies in the background of all the video files. That way it's I can do that in the background while I'm doing other things or while I'm editing the videos. It's not stopping me from using Davinci Resolve, and basically I can come back and it'll all be done. And it generally doesn't take too long. It's going through a lot of footage, so it's going to take a bit of time. Should have thought about this before doing this session. What we might do though is just stop that for now. We're going to just do the one video because that's what we're mainly going to be working with. Star Wars Outlaws. I'm going to drop that in there, and then we're going to drop all those in there. And we're just going to process this video. So I'm going to generate proxy media for that one. So it shouldn't take too long, so it's about 15 minutes recording. Okay, taking about 8 minutes. Alright, well we can't really pause for 8 minutes, so we're just going to cancel that. First thing that we're going to want to do now that we've got our videos loaded into Davinci Resolve, and this is going to apply to most people who do like gaming videos and that kind of stuff, pretty much anything we do. So we're going to go and remove it from here. Just remove those there. We're going to drag in our video and we're going to put it into the timeline. So this is going to be a review style video. I'm going to turn down my computer audio. Oh, it already is turned down, perfect. I'm just going to turn down my headphones because I can hear myself in the video editor. So this is going to be the style of video where basically I've got, I'm going to be talking about the game and I'm going to be reviewing it. I'm going to, I've got a script that I'm reading from, and I'm going to be putting video footage over the top. Now, when you're editing videos, what this footage here that I've put down on video track 1 is what you would call A-roll. And A-roll is basically what you've got your main audio attached to. So it's generally referred to as A-roll. Now, because I don't look at the camera much in this entire video, pretty much the entire video is going to be B-roll. But what we're going to want to do first is make sure we find the right elements in this video that I want to keep. So because it takes me several cuts, several takes to get the right words out, there might be sections where I'm like, don't want to keep and stuff like that, or there's big pauses. We're going to want to edit that kind of stuff out. So this is where we're going to start cutting the video up. So we're going to go File. So what we're going to do, what I want you guys to do first, when you start getting to Davinci Resolve, is go up in the top right hand corner, click on Davinci Resolve, and then click on Keyboard Customization. And this is going to take you to the keyboard and allow you to set up all your shortcuts for Davinci Resolve. You're going to want to learn the shortcuts pretty much straight off the bat, mainly because it just saves you a lot of time with editing. Imagine if you're going to play a game like League of Legends, and you're going to play the game and use your mouse to select the commands that you want your player to do. So like, you're playing ADC and you want to cast an ability, you have to go down and click on the icon for you to cast it. That's how long it takes. Like, it just adds so much extra time to editing your videos. So you really want to get your head around the shortcuts. Once you've got your shortcuts down, and I probably should do a separate video on the specific shortcuts that I use, I assign all my shortcuts to my cable's not long enough, my Stream Deck. So my Stream Deck is basically where I store all my shortcuts, and it's just one easy place for me to access them without having to move my hand across the keyboard. What you can do is relocate all your commonly used commands within like your fingers reach of one hand on your keyboard, because what you'll tend to do is you'll have your mouse in one hand and that's constantly just on your mouse, and your other hand is basically doing all your shortcuts with the other hand. So you can do that with your keyboard, but I just find having it all on the Stream Deck makes it so much easier. So the things that I've got here on my Stream Deck is I've got snapping turned on and off, I've got play, I've got fast forward, I've got control on there, so it's just control, so I can move stuff around in groups. I've got cut, I call it cut, but I think it's snip is what it's called. Ripple delete, ripple remove. There's a ripple delete you can do where it moves everything up from the timeline, like that. Just saves a lot of time, so you don't have to manually select things again to delete it. Undo is a really important one on there. I use that button a lot. You have to undo a lot. In and out is another one that's important. Just helps you do that kind of stuff. And select all past your header. So that's what this is called on your timeline. So obviously all of these tools can be found in this toolbar along here, and I think if you highlight it, it does give you the shortcuts when you select them. Obviously Blade allows you to find through here and cut it that way, but it's just easier to find the shortcut for snip and just scrub through it. So what we're going to do for this section here is we're going to go through and we're going to cut out and remove any kind of section where I'm not talking. So you might not necessarily need to do this. Sometimes it's good to have like pauses in your talking, just to make it feel more natural. But I'm just going to go through and take out anything that I don't necessarily want to do. So the way I usually edit is I'll go in and I'll cut. I'm going to turn the magnet off just so it stops sticking to. So see how it kind of sticks to, snaps to those spots. Can make it a little bit harder to find the spot you want to edit. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to hit cut, and then I can remove that there. Now with Davinci Resolve, it does have a unique thing when it comes to removing. You've got either delete or ripple remove, or ripple delete. So delete will delete. If you press the delete key, it'll delete something from the timeline. Oh, sorry, it ripple deletes. So if you hit delete on your keyboard, it'll delete the clip from the timeline and ripple everything down in the timeline. It can be a little bit frustrating when you do that if you've got multiple clips in, because say for example I want to delete, I want to cut this bit of content out here. If I hit delete, it makes it out of time with everything else. So what you can do is hit backspace and it just removes that section and it doesn't change the timeline. So that's just called a remove. Whereas you've got delete, which is like it just deletes it and ripple deletes it. So just something to keep in mind. Alright, so now that we've got that whole process happening, so we can go through and we can listen to what's going on, what I'm talking about. We can find the sections that I want to keep. So obviously I'm not listening to this, so I don't actually know what I'm listening to. I might just turn that up a bit. So, we're playing it through. We want to get rid of that section, for example. We want to get rid of that, so it's a long pause where I'm just kind of reading through the scripts. So we can cut, remove, cut, remove, cut, remove. Without actually listening to it properly and paying attention to it properly, I'm obviously going to be struggling. It's not going to be a perfect video. But that gives you an idea of how I kind of edit it. And generally, the way I like to work is in passes. So basically, the first thing I'll do when I open up a video, I'll always start with my A roll, and I'll find the main thing, or the perfect, or I wouldn't say perfect, but the video of what is to be set in the right order. So I'll get rid of any takes or anything like that I don't want, and I'll cut it all out, and I'll do that in an entire pass. So I'll go through the entire video and do all of that, and I'll cut through all of that content. Once I've done that, I'll then move into the next stage where I'll probably go through and I'll do another pass where I might refine that, do a little more trimming, make sure it's all fine, and throughout all of this, what I'll be doing is I'll play the video back at 2 times speed, sometimes even 4 times speed. But generally 2 times speed, because at least then I can hear what I'm saying. Because if you do it at 4 times speed, it kind of sounds like this. And it's a bit hard to pay attention to what's being said. So we go through, we do our passes, and then once we've finally got the video that we're happy with, and we've got like the section of the video or the whole videos that we're happy with, I then move into putting my B-roll in. And that's when I actually go back to the cut section. So now that we've got our timeline here, we've made our edits, we've made our cuts to the timeline, we then can go to our B-roll, and then what I generally do is I'll find sections in the B-roll that I think line up with what I'm talking about. And what we can do here is then hit in and then out, and that takes that little section of the footage there, and I can drag that down and add that into row B, or like my second track of my video. So now we've got B-roll going over the top of my A-roll. Now the thing to remember here as well, if we go back into here just to give us a big view of everything, we've got our B-roll here, we've got our A-roll here. Both of these have got 2 different audio tracks, and they're also going to be playing sound over the top of each other. So we're going to want to turn our B-roll down. So we can either do that here by dragging this little line here, and that turns the B-roll down so it's not overpowering my voice, or we can go into the audio Fairlight, and we can drag this out. When that's playing, we can find the track that we want to turn down, and we can turn it down here. Oh, that's not the one. This is the one. So there's just a couple different ways we can turn down the volume. So generally what you want to do, if you're not going to be changing the audio ever again, or if it's not going to be manipulated, generally you want to be doing it here. You want to be doing it at Fairlight. But say for example you want to manipulate the audio throughout the video, you would generally do it here. So what we'll do is we'll go through our video, and I like to make a series of little cuts. So we'll find another section that I might happen to like that I think lines up with what I want to talk about, and we can take that down, we can pop that there. And then we do a whole run of editing where we find the B-roll that suits the A-roll that we've got. And then what we'll do is do another run where we'll refine it and make it more simple. Now, say for example we start wanting, now that we've got our video done, we want to start adding some more complicated stuff in. So for example, the introduction obviously is going to want to have a lot more flashy stuff going on at the start. So we can start getting into effects and stuff like that. So if we look on the left hand side of our edit section, we can turn on, we've got these tabs at the top here. Media pool, generally I'll leave open all the time. But if you click on effects, it opens up this effects tab down the bottom here. This is where you can add in your transitions and all that kind of stuff. I generally don't do transitions that much unless it's desired. And when it comes to stuff like this, more is less. But say you want to add in some titles. So we go on to titles, we'll add in some text here. And then we can put in text over the top. Cool. Alright, so we've got a text sample that's going on the top of the video. So we've added an additional layer on top of the video, and this is generated by Davinci Resolve as like a separate kind of like graphic. Now, if we go over, now that we've got the text on there, we can go over to the right hand side and we can have a look at the inspector tool. Now this is where a little bit of the magic happens with Davinci Resolve and where it gets a little bit more complicated. So if we have a look at the inspector tool, we can see, and we have our text here highlighted. This is where we can manipulate the text to do different stuff. So we can change its zoom, we can change its position, we can like Y and X, we can change its rotation angle, all that kind of stuff can be done over here. You can also, if you click on title, so inspector probably should go a little bit top level. Inspector basically allows you to inspect the file that you've got highlighted and make changes to its elements. So for example, if it's a text tool or text media, you'll have the text, the title section and the text section. You can change the font, all that kind of stuff, color of the font, all that can be done here. The best thing you can do is just play around with it. But this is also where you can do all your animating and stuff like that. So I like to do just simple animation transitions on stuff. So the way you do that is with these keystones. Keystones, is that what they're called? I can't remember. You just hit this button here, essentially. So if we go up on the top right hand corner and we've got our text here on the screen, and say for example I want it to slide in from the left. So what I tend to do is I'll find where I want it to be on the timeline. So we grab our header, the timeline header here, and we scroll it to where I want it to be on the timeline. So say I want this My Awesome Video to appear at this point on the video. Don't ask why I want it there at this particular time, it doesn't make any sense, but we're just doing it for demonstration purposes. So say if I move that there and I want this header to be at this point of time at that location, I'll hit that button there, and what that does is it locks it in place at that point. Now what I can do is I can rewind the video to say the start, or like maybe the start of where I've got the clip, start of the text on the timeline, and then I can change its position on the timeline. I can move it over to the left here. So the way I'm doing this, sorry, just to be specific, you can either type in the numbers of where you're going to be putting it, or you can right click and drag that over, and what that does is just drags it over to the right. And you can do the same with all of the elements. Or you can actually click this box and you can just move it like this. So say for example at this point in the timeline I want it to be here. And what that does is it automatically marks that part of the timeline, and then as we scroll through, it automatically animates it to come in. So that's some basic animations you can do there, and that's basically what you do with the inspector tool. It allows you to do manipulations like that. So for example, if I wanted to do something fancy with this bit of footage, here. So say for example I wanted to have that spin and appear. So what we can do is we can say hit the rotation angle and spin it around. So actually first thing we want to do is decide where we want it to be. So say for example I've made a mistake, I've manipulated it and I don't want it to be there. I can hit this button here and it resets it all back to 0. So say for example I want it at this point, I want it to be normal. I'll hit that button there and that sets it all and locks it all into place. Then we can rewind a little bit, and then I'm going to spin it around a whole bunch, and then we're going to zoom it all the way out. And then what that does is basically tells it to zoom in at that point. And that was that's kind of the basics of the inspector tool. There's a lot more involved in it, and I'll probably confuse everyone already going through all that. And I apologize, but play around with it. That's kind of how it all works. It allows you to manipulate the footage. Other things you can do with the effects is add in generators, so you can add in solid color. So that basically just allows you to put backgrounds in and stuff like that. We've got to change the brightness. So it basically allows you to add in backgrounds, and there's a lot in the effects side. This is also where you'll start running into paywall stuff. So if we go into like Fairlight effects, open effects, and scroll all the way down to the bottom, we try to do this kind of stuff. Davinci Resolve usually freak out and say, no, you can't do it. So that's where your paywall will start coming in. And so basically when it comes to editing videos, you just scrub through, you make your cuts, make sure when you're editing your videos down, it all makes sense and it all follows the flow that you're looking for, and away you go. So this is nowhere near a complete video, but that's kind of just the fundamentals of what I like to do. And then we'll go to our Fairlight. We're going to go into changing our audio. So we'll play this back, and what we want to aim for when it comes to editing our audio is make sure that nothing's in the red, because if it's in the red, it's way too loud. It's going to hurt people's ears, and they're going to turn the video down. So we're going to drag these down and make sure that they're probably just peaking a little bit into yellow. We don't want them to go too far up. And then once we've done that, we also want to make sure that the gameplay isn't louder than our text. So we're going to turn that, or not text, our like their actual review content. So I'm going to make sure I turn down these two because they're the gameplay content, and So obviously there's still a lot of takes that needs to be redone in this video that I'm editing, but you know, you get the idea. Oh, we don't have time to go through an entire edit in this session. Cool. Alright, so that's kind of the basics of editing and how I like to edit. Like I said, it's not really, you don't have to go too complicated. All that fancy stuff I was showing with Inspector, don't need to go too in-depth with it. It's something you play around with, and if you want to do something you want to try and experiment with, this is how I use it. I just give it a crack, and if I don't like it, I just don't use it. But it is where you're going to make all your manipulations and stuff like that. And that's basically it. Once you've cut your video up, you put your layers on. That's the gist of it. Yeah, there's not really much else to it. Then we go to export. So this is where we, export the video and save it as a full-fledged video. We're going to give the video a title, so we're going to call it My Awesome Video. Now, do yourself a favor and name your videos something that is easier to spot out and easy to remember. Give yourself a good naming convention. But also, when it comes to uploading videos on YouTube, the title of the video, the actual file name of the video, does affect SEO as meta tags to an extent. So make sure to make those changes because it will impact that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. So, for this example, I'd call it my review of Star Wars Outlaws, and it'll tell YouTube that that's kind of what the video is about. Generally, if you're exporting for YouTube, you're going to be exporting in MP4. You're going to be on H.264. Don't really need to change too much here. Your frame rate, keep it as high as, keep it, generally don't change it. Whatever you've recorded at is what the frame rate's going to be. You don't really want to be manipulating it too much if you don't need to. So, generally you're recording at 30 frames or 60 frames. Best just leave it at whatever it is. And to be honest, you don't really need to touch anything else in here. However, if there's anything specific that you want to change in the in your exports, best off just Googling it and looking up a tutorial on how to do it. Once you've got your stuff in here, you choose your location where you want to save it. So I'm just going to save this into Star Wars Outlaws. Whoop. Nope. My Awesome Video. And then we add to render queue. And then basically you've got your render queue here. Now by default, when you add to render queue, it adds the entire timeline into your render queue. So what you can also do, so say for example you're making clips of a video, or if you're making shorts of a video, or you've got lots of different timelines you want to make shorts out of, you can do an in and out range rendering queue. So say for example I want to export just this section of my video for whatever reason. You can press in and out of that video, and then you can say, well, we're just going to call that 2. You can add that to render queue, and it's going to export that just that section that I've selected. Then you can do another in and out, and then you can export that section separately. I don't know what that error is coming up. Usually it won't come up. And away you go. So it gives you those two. It allows you to export little sections of the video. So I actually use this for the creator dashboard for creating my shorts. I will just export sections of the video at a time just to help me create the clips. And yeah, and once you've exported it, you just let your computer go. Don't touch it because it uses a lot of processing power when you're exporting. You don't want it to crash while you're halfway through an export because who knows what could happen. And that's about it. I mean, there's a lot there's a lot involved there, and to be honest, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So I've probably gone through a lot in a lot of speed that's probably very hard to follow. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and if you have, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and give the video a like, and let me know if any feedback in the comment section of how you thought I went. This is the first time, like I said, the first time I'm doing this, and I'm just happy to teach people how to do this kind of stuff. But yeah, for all of you guys who are on Twitch, well, actually, let me finish up the YouTube video section first. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe to the Creator Dashboard for more helpful content like this. And if you want to see more content, like my content, the Jury 94 content, subscribe to my channel, The Jury. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.